No longer deaf people have rated what's something you thought would have a certain noise, but were surprised it doesn't? Oh, I have a great story. Friend's sister was very hard of hearing, nearly deaf. She got cochlear implants. At work I was asked to help her pair her implants with her new phone, because they are freaking *BLUETOOTH*. While I'm doing this she is happily telling me how sensitive they are. I can hear paper. She had no idea paper sliding on paper made a noise. She then told me she could hear her hand sliding on the wall, and how cats annoyed her because sometimes they made a sound, but sometimes they just made the action but no sound. But then out of the blue she says, what's weird is boobs don't make noise. You really think they would? I lost it. I cracked up. Though the wind made super loud *WOOOOOSH* sounds but it doesn't, so that was lame. Also thought my toys were silent, but oh boy they were super loud. Makes sense why my parents hated them. I had a deaf girl ask me if ice cream made a sound when it melted. My wife refused to get hearing aids for years. We bought a house that backs on a 4-lane highway. I tolerate noise well. When she came home with her new hearing aids, she went out to the backyard, came back and asked me, why did you let us buy this house? I screamed when I first heard a toilet flush. I saw something on Facebook the other day. A teacher apparently has a class where she has deaf students and hearing students together. One of the deaf students ripped a fart and then noticed all the other hearing students looking at them. Conversation between teacher and student in sign language. The student is now mortified to learn that farts have a sound, and everyone, hearing ones anyway, knows it's them when they rip one. My deaf students had trouble understanding sarcasm because it's all about intonation. One of them got aids that really helped, and she was shocked that cute shirt could mean the exact opposite. Someone I know was surprised to hear the sound of gravel as you walk on it. They were also surprised rain has a sound and not snow. After getting my one hearing aid, yes, if you just need one on one side, do get it. It is life changing. I stood by my bed and made the blankets crinkle for probably too long. My mom had been hearing impaired for most of her life, with it getting worse as she aged. When she was about 55 she finally got hearing aids. She called me one day to ask if I knew that they played music in the grocery store and to ask how long they'd been doing that. I grew up profoundly hard of hearing and got my first hearing aids around 13 or so. Before that I could make out speech, but no ambient noises or the random sounds things made. I had never heard birds until the day I got my hearing aids. I knew they made noises and I'd heard them on TV, but never in person. Totally blew me away. Also, for people who have good hearing, hearing aids don't sound like you're hearing. Hearing aids sound like the audio from VHS home movies. Anytime the wind blows against them, it's amplified, and the overall sound of a little different. And to answer the question, I always thought random everyday objects would make more noise, like cabinet hinges and things that moved. When my grandpa got hearing aids, he was shocked at the range of tone and pitch in his grandchildren's voices. At the time, there were 7 of us, ranging from 4 to 18. I don't know how long had been like that, but he sure was overwhelmed by it. When I got my implant I didn't realize how loud peeing can be, and poops. I turn my implant/aid off when I go into bathroom, especially public bathroom. Another is how important sound is for horror movies. I kinda liked thriller horror movies, but when I started watching Japanese movie Grudge, after I got implant I realized I was only getting half of the experience. Example, at beginning, the ghost boy went across the screen real fast. A bit scary, but when I heard the zoom sound when he did that, scared the ***t out of me and could not continue watching. The sound of water for me, I'm not deaf, but I'm very hard of hearing. So when my hearing aids are out I get a sort of dull background noise when there is sound around. Anyways, growing up, anytime there is water around I always had to have my hearing aids out. Finally one day I was near a pool, but not swimming, and couldn't believe how clear and crisp the water sounded. To this day, pools or lakes are still a unique sound for me. Heck, even a bathtub. I love listening to water. Impartially deaf. and got hearing aids when I was 15. I remember going to my room with my hearing aids in and hearing a cricket for the first time. For some reason, the noise freaked me out so badly I recorded it and showed it to my dad crying because it was freaking me out and the noise wouldn't stop. That one's probably weird, but it was weird. Also, the sound of hair being brushed against a hearing aid is an awful sound y'all should appreciate not having to hear lol. Thanks for asking Opus. I had a coworker who was very hearing impaired. She just assumed she was a little hard at hearing. You could literally have a conversation behind her without her knowledge. Some people even assumed she was dumb because you would tell her something and she'd just give you a blank stare. Turns out she was just too shy to ask you to repeat. Well, eventually she went to a specialist and she had a disease where one of the small bones in each ear broke. They replaced the broken bones with tiny titanium bones. During the healing process, she basically had Superman hearing. She went from not being able to hold a conversation to screaming in surprise when someone used a packing tape dispenser 3 rooms away. She actually had to wear earmuffs just to get through the day. But to answer the question more specifically, she never knew fluorescent lights made a buzzing sound. Drives her crazy. I'm not deaf, but my best friend was till he got hearing aids. I had a friend who was surprised to find out that people have different sounding voices. I'm pretty hard of hearing. When I got my hearing aids I never knew that air conditioners and fridges made constant noise. Not quite the prompt, but my grandpa at about 85 finally got hearing aids after many years of declined hearing. He was talking to us on the phone one day and couldn't stop laughing when he told us he forgot how loud his farts could be. He'd just been letting them rip for years, not thinking much of it. My grandma was in the background of the call laughing real hard too. It was so pure. My ASL teacher was really surprised that the ocean's waves could sound different depending on the weather/choppiness, and that wind would make sound as well. She also told us she also assumed that the sunlight would make a different sound hitting asphalt versus grass, only to learn it doesn't at all. Which, honestly I think is pretty sensible. You can't see the wind, but it makes a sound. Why wouldn't the sunlight too? The sound of skin on skin. It's just so smooth I didn't think it made a sound. Also toilets flushing, because I was scared of using the bathroom at school and didn't wear hearing aids at home. Didn't know toilets made such a wild sound until university. When I first got fitted with my hearing aid and was leaving the hospital I kept spinning to check who was walking behind me. My mum finally informed me that I could hear my own footsteps. I was just expecting them to be a lot less loud. I have a cousin who is partially deaf, and when she got hearing aids in her mid-20s she told us she never knew that stores played music. This one is from my profoundly deaf sister who will always be deaf. She thought sharks made a noise. I remember when we were at a beach as kids together, she kept telling my mother, "Do you hear that? It's a shark." She always pretended she could hear. I'm not personally deaf, but my friend's mom got hearing implants a few years back for the first time, and she loves that sound that is made when you flop one of those thin plastic page things back and forth. IDK how to describe and text, but like wop 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 or something like that. I have been deaf since I was a baby. I wore hearing aids all my life. When I got a cochlear implant at the age of 40, the one sound I have been unable to get accustomed to is the sound of clocks ticking. The grandfather clock sometimes makes me crazy enough to stop in inaction, as well as all the clocks that tick-tock. Feel loud. I love my implant. Love hearing, but don't like clocks. Ha. I was really surprised to find out that all farts sound different. No two farts sound the same. Deefy here. I have CIs who the F***K put noises on buttons on the freaking microwave. So many beeps. My husband has bilateral cochlear implants. When he was first implanted he couldn't listen to music because it sounded like cartoon voices. He also heard birds and crickets for the first time ever. I cried haha. Also clocks. I don't think he expecting to hear them, but we are never allowed to have a ticking clock ever again. Growing up he never learned to ignore noises like that. My gran lost her hearing in her 20s and got cochlear implants when I was about 10. My son is 70% deaf in his left ear. He got his hearing aid at 14 months old. I will never forget the look on his sweet little face the day he got his aid. He kept whispering to himself and giggling. I had tubes as a kid, and when they came out I could hear. My parents tell me at 5 years old I was hearing the world for the first time. They had a lot of "what's that?" questions from me about the heat turning on, birds singing, basically normal everyday things that I had never heard before. My daughter is hard of hearing. She got her hearing aids when she was 5. She didn't know that flip-flops make noise when you walk. Make sure to like and subscribe for more daily content. Thanks for watching.